Hello, Mike Benoit here again. I'm wondering, what's it going to be like 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30, 40, 50 years from now? What will our children and grandchildren be telling their children and grandchildren? What will they tell them about the Ron Paul revolution? Will our children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren be in bread lines or soup lines? Will they have food and everything else rationed to them by the government? Or do we somehow believe that the prosperity we had in the last 50 years is going to continue? I don't know what people think. People come to the conclusion that things are not so good right now, but they get this idea that somehow it's going to work out. How's this going to work out without us working it out? How are people going to be able to put food on their table, a roof over their heads in the future when we have all these bank foreclosures happening on the homes, massive numbers of people unemployed? What's going to reinflate the bubble that we just went through? I don't see it. I see that we're going to be contracting and contracting. There's going to be more and more paper dollars floating out there and less goods and services chasing after them, which means inflation. And if you're not working, how are you going to buy these things? And if we got 50 million people on food stamps right now, what's the next step after that? When these big corporate farms really have no incentive to keep producing all this food because there's nothing in it for them. That little bit of profit doesn't gain them anything. What do we do then? Does this whole thing shut down? And what could we do to avoid it? Could we prevent it? I think we could, but I'm wondering why we can't get people to do something about it. Those of us in the Ron Paul movement understand economics. We understand that government can't spend $1.5 trillion more than it takes in. It can't borrow this money forever. It's not out there to be borrowed anymore. And they can't print it because it destroys the value of what's in existence. They keep going down this course. We have hyperinflation. Millions upon millions, hundreds of millions, 200 million people in this country who are saving for their retirement think they got some nest egg saved up. They got $100 million. What happens if that $100 million just buys a postage stamp? We're in bad stead. Why are we doing something about this? I wonder why the Ron Paul people who understand this, who go to a Ron Paul rally, are not out talking to their neighbors. You know how easy this is in the San Diego County? What I'm hoping for is people in San Diego County to say, you know what? I'll walk my precincts. You don't even have to talk to people. You can just leave Ron Paul literature at the doors where people are registered Republican if you're afraid to talk to people. We need to get to the Republicans to vote for Ron Paul in the primary. In California, big state with 170 plus delegates, and we can win this thing if we just get people that will go out and carry out the literature to Republican households. I'll get you the list. I'll get you the material. All you have to do, if you don't want to talk to people, is leave something at their doorstep, but you can talk to them. Ron Paul people amaze me when you get in conversations with them. They can tell you. They can articulate these issues, and they can articulate it extremely well. So people get it. You all are good salesmen if you go out and try. But if you're sitting there watching your TV, playing your video games, preaching to the choir on Facebook, I've got an excuse why you can't get out and do this, then ask yourself, what kind of excuse are you going to give your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, when we're living in a Soviet-styled system where you got zero rights, where they can pluck you out, send you to a place like Siberia, and they're close to doing that now, and nothing you can do about it. Simple. Get a hold of me, mblibertarian7 at earthlink.net. Let's talk about how we can win this revolution, turn this country back into a place of individual liberty and prosperity.